There are sounds we're trained to expect in a prep room. The gentle hiss of the embalming machine, the soft gurgle of air in the drainage hose, the dull thud of a trocar being set down. They're not pleasant, but they're predictable, normal. That day, what I heard wasn't. It was a Tuesday morning, midwinter. One of those bone-cold Ohio mornings where even the inside of the prep room feels like it belongs outside. I'd been in since 6 a.m. and was already on my second case. Male decedent, mid-40s, non-hospice death, medical examiner released. Accidental overdose. Found at home, no known allergies, pronounced by EMS. ME report noted congestion and cyanosis but no decomposition. Body arrived within 12 hours of death, so time was still on my side. He wasn't a large man, but the facial bloating was noticeable. Standard cavity prep was already planned, no facial trauma, no reconstructive work needed. Everything was clean, quiet, normal. I'd raised both common carotids, inserted the cannula, secured my drainage. Mixture was firming fluid at 3% concentration with a slight tint, since the family requested an open casket viewing. I adjusted the rate to a slow, steady pressure, nothing too aggressive since lividity was prominent in the arms and neck. It was about halfway through the process, maybe 7 or 8 minutes in when I heard it. Not a noise from the machine. Not the creak of the floor, not even a shift from the body itself. It was a sob, low, wet, muffled, like someone crying through a throat full of water. It came from the direction of the decedent. My hands paused over the abdomen. The trocar was still in my grip, resting against the cavity. I looked toward the head, thinking maybe something had shifted. We sometimes get air forced from the lungs during the embalming process. It can pass through the glottis and create odd gurgling sounds, especially in cases where aspiration fluid remains. That's textbook, that's explainable. But this wasn't that. This wasn't pressure pushing through the windpipe. It didn't bubble or sputter. It was rhythm. It was breathless but patterned. 3 short sobs, almost childlike. Then silence. I stood still. No glancing at the clock, no wiping my brow, just stillness. I told myself to proceed like normal. You learn early on not to freeze up every time something strange happens. It's not good for your nerves. So I resumed the cavity aspiration, inserted the trocar below the xiphoid process, angled toward the transverse colon, and continued with the routine. But I'll be honest, I kept glancing at the mouth. The decedent's lips were parted, slightly. That's not unusual. Some mouths require more setting than others. But I'd already inserted cotton into the buccal cavity, and the mandible was secured. I'd used a muscular suture rather than a needle injector for this one, more control that way. There should have been no movement, no sound, and yet, I heard it again, just once this time. Softer, like someone trying not to be heard. That was when something inside me shifted. Not fear exactly, just a stillness. The kind you feel when you realize you might not be alone, but also know that nothing you say will change what's happening. I finished the prep, slowly, respectfully, double-checked the cavity treatment, cleaned the facial area again, even though it didn't need it. Dressed the body with care and positioned the hands naturally, by the book. Before closing the prep room, I stood at the foot of the table, not to pray, not out of fear, just to acknowledge. Because here's what I believe after 2 decades in this business. Sometimes grief doesn't stay in the living, sometimes it follows the body. Some carry it so deeply, so violently, that it lingers long after the heart stops. It seeps into the tissues, the muscles, the air. You can embalm the body, clean the features, suit the chest, and comb the hair. But that pain? It's not always gone. And when it isn't, sometimes it still finds a way to speak. I never told the family, there was no reason to. Their focus was closure, not complications. At the visitation, his mother stood over the casket a long time. No tears, just her hand resting lightly on his. She whispered something I couldn't hear. And then she said aloud, "I know you were hurting." Maybe she heard it too.